My name is Mariana, and this is the story of how a house full of people slowly taught me what loneliness truly feels like. They say time makes you wiser, but no one warns you how quietly a heart can be broken by the very people you raised. I lived as a guest in my own son's home, invisible, unheard, until one day someone handed me a list of bills, and I realized I was no longer a mother in that house. I was a tenant. That was the day I decided to leave. Not because they pushed me out, but because I finally remembered I once had a voice.
My name is Mariana. I am 63, though some days I feel closer to 80. They say time makes a person wiser, but I think time just teaches you how to cry without making a sound. I always believed dignity lived in silence, until silence began to choke me. I wasn't always this quiet. In my younger days, I laughed loudly, spoke my mind, walked with purpose. I was a school teacher, trusted by children, respected by parents, appreciated by neighbors. But life teaches lessons long after you want to stop learning. 3 years ago, after my husband died, I moved into my son Daniel's house. He said it was temporary. His wife, Clara, nodded politely, but her eyes held something calculating, waiting. "You can stay as long as you like, Mama," Daniel said, kissing my forehead. His words felt warm, like a blanket warmed by the sun. Foolish that I believed him. For months things were peaceful. I cooked, I helped, I tended their garden. But then, Clara began pulling threads around me, carefully, invisibly. "Mama, don't rearrange the kitchen. Mama, ask before using my softener. Mama, Daniel likes his shirts ironed differently." Smiles stayed polite, but her tone was bitter, like old tea. Daniel didn't see it, or wouldn't. Soon, Clara stopped speaking like a hostess and started speaking like a landlord. "Mama, the gas bill is high. Mama, is it fair we buy all the groceries?" Quiet arrows meant to wound. I offered money. She refused, sweetly. "Just adjust your habits. That will help." My habits. I reduced tea, used cold water, tiptoed in my own son's house. But the worst part was dinner. Talking around me, over me, past me. Invisible. Then one day, Daniel said softly, "Mama, Clara feels you don't respect her space." I smiled. "Of course, my son." That night, I realized walls can warm you, but they can also trap you. I decided to leave, not because I was unwanted, but because I didn't want to forget my voice. For the first time in years, I slept peacefully. But peace never stays long where pride lives. Next morning, Daniel and Clara were at the table, scrolling silently like strangers in a waiting room. "Good morning, children," I said. They nodded, hearing, not caring. Daniel cleared his throat. "Mama, you should contribute to expenses." "Fair." Such a small word. I nodded, but that wasn't the end. That evening, Clara knocked, smiling without warmth. "Mama, here is a list of expenses for organization. Electricity, 25%, gas, 20%, groceries split, Wi-Fi fixed." Not numbers. A message. "You are a tenant." I folded the paper. "Thank you."
Days passed. I learned the rhythm of solitude. The clock no longer reminded me of loneliness, only of time that belonged to me. I hummed while making tea, opened windows wide, cooked meals I loved. Sometimes I lit a candle by the window, not for prayer, but to remind myself light does not need permission to exist. One afternoon, a knock. Slow, hesitant. I opened the door. Daniel. He whispered, Mama. He sat by the window. Things have been hard since you left, he said. Clara blamed everything, then blamed him, and finally, she left. He placed a small box in front of me. He said, I found these, your old letters. I never opened them, but last night, I read every one. He swallowed. Mama, I was never listening. A tear slipped down his cheek. Not dramatic, just honest. I placed my hand over his, not to forgive, but to acknowledge. He said, It smells like cinnamon tea. I said, I make it every evening, whether anyone drinks it with me or not. He breathed deeply, looking around. May I stay? Not to talk, just to sit? We sat in silence, a kind silence. Before leaving, he hugged me. Slow, warm, healing. He whispered, My house never felt like home, but your peace does. When he left, I didn't cry old tears. These were new, soft, nourishing. I lit a candle by the window, not for anyone, but because light deserves to shine. Some houses have walls, some have warmth, but only hearts have peace, once they finally stop whispering and start listening.